The SmackDown Live after the Royal Rumble. It is January 29th, 2019. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Raj Giri. And Raj, who is joining us again tonight? 3 in a row.
Michael Wiseman, yeah, here again. Busy week for him. He did the Winkley this morning as well. Michael, how you doing?
Doing good. I was going to say, Glenn, technically it's 4 in a row for me because this is 2 for Tuesday. So you can ignore poor Nick Halsman over there. Him and I had a show earlier today. So, yeah, wow, it's all good. Get no respect, but it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
All over the place, man. So let's start with the breaking news before we jump into the SmackDown stuff. Should we do that first? Should we talk about the news of the day?
Yeah, sure. Let's jump right into it.
Well, God, actually, I feel like a lot of news, a lot of stuff to discuss coming off of last night's Raw, which I apologize for missing the show last night. Guys, it just was not doing so hot.
But we missed you, just for the record. You missed the show and we missed you. I just want to throw that out there.
I'll tell you that whatever happened last night almost overshadowed today with news that Dean Ambrose has said he's not renewing his contract, and the WWE confirmed it, that he's out of there, I guess, after WrestleMania. Now, a lot of disputes on Twitter about this. I believe Pro Wrestling Torch originally broke the story, Rush?
Yeah, the Torch broke it last night. Saying basically it happened on Monday. So yesterday, Ambrose had been negotiating a new deal. He got one that had a big raise. I think PW Insider was reporting it was over 7 figures per year for 5 years. And he turned it down. I guess he hasn't been happy with how he's been used creatively. I can't blame him. I mean, Mitch the Plant and, all this stuff over the years.
Mitch the Plant was incredible. What are you talking about?
There you go. So, that's not his style. and wearing the big cowboy hat in Las Vegas and all that kind of stuff. So he wasn't happy. I thought it sucked.
I thought that was great. I loved his arc with James Ellsworth versus AJ Styles. I thought that was great.
See,
everything recently,
I like the more serious stuff. The more, me and Michael were talking about this last night. The more comedic stuff he does, it just takes away that edge which he can have. And
Edge lately has been lame.
No, it's not. Edge is not. The Edge is good. Edge is still in style. Just WWE values comedy above all else, and it's kind of that goofy, silly R-Truth style comedy, and I think that's hurt Dean Ambrose and his perception in the fans' eyes for a while now.
Yeah, he's kind of he hasn't felt like a real top guy in forever. And he always, when it was the Shield, he always stood out when they were first together and with his promos and when they were that badass group and he would, talk his smack. He was great. He seemed like the breakout star of the group, and then they sidelined him with comedy. And he was good. He was good at it a lot, but it wasn't a main event act.
I think that's his thing too, though, right? You mentioned this, Raj. He was the mic worker for the Shield when they were kind of coming onto the scene, and he set the tone for them in a way that really, I think, catapulted their careers. And when he does the comedy stuff, it takes away from the one thing he's really, really, really good at. Now, he's a fine worker. I'm never that engaged by his matches. And I think when you take away the real intense Dean Ambrose mic work, you lose a lot of what Dean Ambrose can be. Yes, he's unhinged, and that's his whole thing. But he's a serious he's like, he's like he's like the Joker, not the funny Joker, but the stuff that Joker does that's dark. That's the unhinged Dean Ambrose we need, and they lean too much towards the Jack Nicholson or
the Batman TV show Joker,
1950s, unhinged Joker. Anyway, there you go.
Really, like the Joker? I mean, the Joker, I see what I think he's more like is, remember Wolverine at the start of the first X-Men film? He's just fighting in cages, got no friends, like no sense of humor, just this guy who just sort of lives for the fight. And similar to Wolverine with Dean Ambrose, they try to humanize, they try and add backstory, they try and add comedy. And I think to get him back to just that badass cage fighting guy, I think that's a good gimmick. But what he's been doing lately, I just don't get it. Yeah. He's coming out dissing the towns, wearing the gas mask, that whole thing. I just don't think that really captures the intensity in the right way, if they're going to go that route.
If he was Wolverine, he's become, as of late, Wolverine Origins. I think that's the comparison here.
Yeah, he's been hurt badly by creative. So, WWE sent us a statement that they ended up posting on their own website and sending it around, that he is leaving. His contract's up in April, and he's not renewing. It's kind of, there haven't been many times when they've done this. I posted an article earlier. There was the first time I can recall was Randy Savage, when he announced on, I think that's the only time I could think that they did it on TV, where on TV, Vince McMahon said, we didn't come to terms on a deal to, come to terms on a new deal. He wished Macho Man the best, praised him for his commit, for his, gosh, it's been long 4 days, for his achievements. And yeah, so that was the first time I recalled them doing that. And then the second would be with Diesel, when Diesel was gave notice. And it's almost exactly like this with Ambrose. It was like January, early February. Diesel, Scott Hall did too, but they didn't mention Scott Hall. They publicly announced Diesel on their AOL page in 1996. And he still, was with the company for several months, had a match against Undertaker at WrestleMania, had a world title match on the pay-per-view after that, and then left WWE after. That was, I think, his last TV appearance was losing to Shawn.
To go to WCW.
To go to WCW that summer, you're right.
And look how that turned out for WWE. That's why I think
turned out huge.
No, for WWE. For WWE,
it turned out huge for WWE. It got them to get their asses kicked, and then they changed direction, and that started the most successful era in the history of the business.
We got Diesel version 2. We got Razor Ramon version 2. It was amazing. It was incredible.
No, but I'm telling you, I think this is a work. I think that knowing what I know about Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, his character, this seems like the type of blending the almost Andy Kaufman-esque, is it real? Blending that line between kayfabe and reality. Unless they take him off TV immediately or punk him out to Kurt Hawkins before he goes, because why? No, seriously.
They punked him out to Nia Jax. That's almost worse.
Kurt Hawkins would be the worst. If that's Kurt Hawkins' first win. In fact, if he's staying and this is a work, they should put him in a feud with Kurt Hawkins, because everyone will be expecting Kurt to go over. That would be a good subversion.
I'm betting more people would want to put Kurt Hawkins over than Nia Jax.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This seems weird. Unless he's off TV going forward, I just don't think they would.
Right, they didn't do that. They didn't do that before with Diesel.
Yeah, again, but what happened? They kept him on TV. Diesel went over to WCW. Him and Scott Hall kickstarted WCW in a major, major way. Really did the firing shot of the Monday Night War that really put it into overdrive. I'm telling you, with AEW and everything else going on right now, I don't know why. If they're offering guys double money to sign on the spot, why would they keep putting Dean Ambrose on TV for 70 days?
Well, he just gave his notice yesterday. Yeah. Oh, you mean going forward?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That will be what's telling about this. If he's off TV, if we never see him again, I think it's for real.
Because I don't think you just want to pull him off TV. That almost builds the
mystique. It builds the mystique.
Yeah, mystique a little bit.
Although better
you want to job him out.
Yeah. Well, if they job him out, okay, if they bring him on TV and job him out, yes, I believe this is real. If he disappears from TV.
They already kind of have been. I mean, he did nothing in the Rumble. He was eliminated pretty quick by Aleister Black. Lost to Seth Rollins. Then after that gets punked by Nia Jax. They're quickly, they're putting this into fast forward, the jobbing out stuff.
Yeah, but that's
trust me, this is leading to Ambrose losing to Nia Jax.
Here's what I don't get, though. And honestly, I tend to believe that this, Glenn, I think your conspiracy theory here, I kind of buy into it just a smidge, because we got the weird segment last night, which people are saying, oh, that was a shoot with Dean Ambrose being out there. And, people are now rumor mongering that he was trying to get a moment in. If you listen to the way that segment started, it sounded like he was like, let me be real for a minute. And so we almost got the quote unquote pipe bomb moment, it seemed like. But if this is some kind of WWE storyline going on right here, that would be great. That's the right thing to do. You're getting fans invested in this in a big way. The other thing nobody's talking about is Renee Young. And not that it matters, but I think it does. And I think when your spouse worked for the same company as you and you're on the road this much and you're doing all the things they do, to walk away from that over creative differences, that's I want to say it's a selfish thing to do, because I don't know their relationship and their marriage, but that is a much bigger weight to take on strictly over creative differences. It's not about money.
If you're not happy, you're not going to stay at a job just because your wife is there.
I mean, Punk walked away. AJ Lee was there, a year after?
Yeah, at least. Yeah, it was like
yeah, but Punk walked out. I mean, let's be real here. Punk literally walked off the job. Dean Ambrose gave notice, and Punk was a
right. But it's the same thing with being on. Right, but it's the same thing as if you're unhappy, you're not going to just stick around just because the travel with the wives. There's so many cases where, people, someone else's wife works for the other company,
Well, and that's where I think, okay, so the question is, if they keep him on TV and they don't completely destroy him, is Renee's future an insurance policy enough to keep Dean from going off script or doing something crazy?
Nah, I don't think it matters. I don't listen, in the eyes of WWE, I think they actually do a pretty good job of separating wives from husbands. I mean, Nick Aldis has been out there on the indies representing NWA, and Mickie James is fine. Like she's not been pushed back or used inappropriately as a result of that. Even when Nick has called out WWE on unions and things like that. So again, I don't think it will go that way. I just wondered about the opposite way, about Dean being influenced by Renee still being there. Maybe not though.
I don't know.
I wouldn't think so. Nick Aldis talks smack about WWE all the time. Yeah. Punk buried WWE and went into all the problems with the doctors and everything when AJ Lee was still with the company. It's two different things, but I don't see Ambrose being like that. I think he's a professional. He's just not happy creatively, and he's someone that takes pride in his work and is not happy with how his character is going. He's not like going off script. He wasn't going to shoot on Monday Night Raw. They would just cut off his mic, and go to a commercial. No one's going to shoot. So
what's the window? What's the window when his contract's up? 45 days or 90 days?
None. He's not being released. A non-compete is when you're released and you.
So he could be a double or nothing in his backyard, literally.
Yeah. Once your contract's up, that's why, Cody and the Bucks made the announcement on January 1st because their contracts were ended on January 1st. So you're free after that. So his contract's up in April, so he's free after that. So he could be at double or nothing.
I think this is a big, I think this is a big one. If all of this pans out and if we see Dean going to AEW would be the likely choice with the momentum behind it, the money being tossed around there. You could say Impact, but do they really make it? Does it matter at this point for him to go to Impact? You could say Ring of Honor, but it almost seems too small fries for a multi-time world champion in WWE. I think we see Dean Ambrose, if this does pan out and he continues on this path. I mean, he said he's leaving, but there's still that door is open for the next however many days. We see him in AEW. I think it's a big get for AEW, right? You know the Bucks are going to be there. You know Cody Rhodes going to be there. Chris Jericho is a big name. He's the legend. He's the veteran. Bringing Dean Ambrose shows that main roster guys in WWE can have a home somewhere else and be a main eventer on another big stage. That's Matt. Impact Wrestling, they're doing good work nowadays, better than some spots, but they don't matter like AEW has that buzz.
They would have to give him 20% of the company or something absurd to get Impact.
Sure.
I mean, depending on the day of the week and what it's worth, maybe even more than that. I think Impact would be a huge step down. AEW, at least is new, right? I mean, New Japan, Ring of Honor.
It's got a billionaire behind it.
Yeah.
Like AEW, they're throwing their money around. I mean, they're getting, Kenny Omega. They're outbidding WWE for Kenny Omega. I mean, all signs are that he's signing with them and he's going to be there on February 7th in Las Vegas. So, and WWE offered him big money. They offered the Bucks big money. Mm-hmm. So they're getting people that WWE wants. ROH, they did get Bandito, but WWE was offering him, an NXT deal.
And that's the cool thing about this situation. If it's a work or it's real, either way, this could be massive. It's either going to result in a great storyline or a great potential move to an independent like AEW.
If it's a work, I mean, I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be 100% surprised. I'm not, completely shutting the door on it. I would just be surprised at a publicly traded company sending out statements to the media about this, and it's turning out to be a storyline. Just
they
because
literally sent out statements about Donald Trump buying Monday Night Raw a decade ago. This company's crazy. They're crazy.
And that was the point I made online when someone's like, well, they commented on Ronda's thing last week. It's like, okay, the rumors about Ronda leaving, that hurts their stock price. That hurts their bottom line. Do you think a single investor gives a shit whether Dean Ambrose stays with the company and what that's going to do for their profit loss?
The Donald Trump thing hurt their stock price. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, because he's someone that you do not want taking over a company. He's someone you do not want taking over a company. That's why 10 years ago or whenever that happened, he was the kiss of death, at the time. So,
even the kids, they didn't think he could run a show. No one knew what it meant. Donald Trump buys Raw, but
this company I think the point here for me is, I'm not totally bought in with Glenn here. I see the argument you're making, Glenn. I think it's actually pretty solid. I'm interested. I'm intrigued, but this company does do some pretty crazy things, Raj. WWE, Vince McMahon, they think they're kind of bulletproof with some of this stuff sometimes.
Yeah, and if the story's good, no one's going to be alienated.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost Raj in disgust at our conspiracy theories.
He just put in his 70-day notice too, I think is what happened.
But they were talking about this with people online, like, oh, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't alienate the media and their fans. It's like if you watch Monday Night Raw, they alienate the media and their fans on a weekly basis.
Absolutely.
You know, and if it's a good storyline, no one will care. All will be forgiven if we like the way this turns out.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I got cut off there. Can you repeat what you just said?
No, all will be forgiven. No one will have hard feelings about reporting on this or covering this or believing it if it's a hot storyline and if it's good.
And that's to your point, Glenn. And one of the reasons why I'm not 100% shutting the door on it being a work is they are trying to get a little edgier. Lately, they do seem like they're trying to push the boundaries a little bit. Even with Nia getting physical with the men at the Rumble. It does seem like they're starting to revert back a little bit to some of their Attitude Era days. Not to that extreme, but just trying to, instead of going farther PG, moving back a little bit. So if they did something that was super entertaining, it would turn out to be an awesome angle. More power to them. I would just be surprised if that were the case.
If this story is this hot, I think Dean comes out Monday and they say Dean Ambrose is going to address the WWE universe. And he'll say, it's kind of what you were saying, Raj, like this has become a cartoon. I'm not in this business. I don't want to be a superhero. I don't want to be a comedy act. I just want to hurt people. I just want to fight. I just want that intensity. And I'm not getting that here. And then bam, Drew McIntyre or someone walks out and, says, you want that fight? I'll give you that fight. And we get the new Dean Ambrose. And this whole thing is bullshit.
All signs are it's not.
Okay, we'll see.
It's legit. These are his friends that are saying it. These are the people that, like PW Insider with their sources on the actual contract that was offered that was turned down. You would think that if they're doing it, they would drop a hint on TV like they did with CM Punk with the pipe bomb. All that's done on TV. The majority of their audience is TV, not internet. So,
although look how internet Becky Lynch has proved what you can do.
But all this stuff, all her big angles are on TV. She's not. It's not like her stuff with Ronda is, you know what I mean? It's not all the major stuff is on TV. You're not missing anything if you're not watching the TV show.
Here's my question about this, guys, though. In all seriousness, though, what does WWE have to gain from publicly responding to this? That's what I can't figure out here is why would they announce this? Why would they go down this route and not just write him off TV and then be done with it? I don't understand that.
Yeah, that is interesting. The only thing I could think of was the Kevin Nash deal. Like they've done it before. It's weird, but they have done it before. I agree with you. It does seem odd that they would come out and say it. I've reached out to WWE so many times on other things similar. And
no comment.
You get no response no comment, or we don't comment on that kind of thing. So I was surprised. I didn't even reach out to them on this because I figured they wouldn't, respond. Nick reached out, and he got the response. So
that's why Monday. If he's on TV,
he's going to be on TV. I don't think he'll be at WrestleMania. I think he's going to be on TV for the next couple months. They're going to, bring him down the ladder. You don't want him going hot. He was just Intercontinental Champ a couple weeks ago. He's going to probably face Tamina and Nia at Elimination Chamber in a handicap match. They probably beat him. Then he wants Nia one-on-one, and then Nia probably beats him at Fastlane. And then that'll probably be it.
See, I think if they're really going to punk him out, I think Kurt Hawkins, who else? No Way Jose.
Kurt Hawkins is kind of doing his thing with the Revival now. No Way Jose. Yeah, just beating someone. They've already started the thing with Nia. Yeah. It's clear that's where they're going.
What's Adam Rose doing these days? Can we bring him back in to get a one up on
Rose? Up. He's clean.
Yeah, that was not a slam at Adam Rose. It was just he's not an over guy. There was no personal malice there, guys. Okay, I just say he's a lower card guy here.
I think they should bring Adam Rose back. He's in great shape. He got clean, took care of a lot of his personal issues.
That gimmick was bad, though. That gimmick.
Oh yeah, he shouldn't come back as Adam Rose.
No, Leo Kruger, baby.
Leo Kruger.
Let's do it.
Yeah, which Leo Kruger? The Hunter Leo Kruger or the Diplomat Leo Kruger?
You know what I almost wonder too, with WWE coming out with that statement. I wonder if it's so they felt maybe that he was playing them against AEW. And because a lot of times when you see that, when they come public with a negotiation, when Spike TV dropped WWE, they came out and said, we're done negotiating. And that was so they don't get as good a deal from the other side. And so by doing this, it hurts him in his negotiations with other groups. So I could, possibly that's a reason.
I don't think Dean really cares about the money, though, or else he would have taken the deal. I mean, it's pretty well known he lives in Nevada.
Unless he's going to get a ton of money from, AEW is offering 7-figure contracts to these top guys.
Yeah, but if you listen, so Renee Young has a podcast called Regular Girls, and she talks about her relationship with Dean Ambrose quite a bit and their lifestyle, and they're just happy. They own their house, they hang out, they've got, I think, a dog, maybe 2, and a good life, and it seems like they're content just to coast. Worst case scenario. So I don't think for him it's really about
some money at some point.
Some
you
true.
You can't coast forever.
Yeah, but if you own your house, you live in a state like Nevada, everything's already paid off. You don't have a lavish lifestyle. How much do you really need? How much do you need, Raj? How much money do you need?
A lot. You got.
How much money do you have, Raj? Let's dig in here.
You got to pay. We got to pay property tax, your auto renewals every year. Your Whole Foods bills, which I'm sure
Whole Foods. There's your problem.
Yeah.
What do you guys have out there? Go to Aldi or whatever, Food Lion, whatever you guys have. I don't know. No, but Dean Ambrose too. Listen, guys. We speculate where he could go, and this is about creative decisions. We don't know. The statement that was said, the reporting that's been done, definitely said that Dean Ambrose has not been happy there and that he didn't want the money, turn that down. God, maybe Dean Ambrose just goes home for a few months. Maybe he just goes and hangs out and lives his lifestyle for a little while and comes back in a year. Who knows?
But it doesn't sound like he's sick of wrestling. It sounds like he's sick of how he's being used. He's not being able to do what he wants to do. And it really seems to me like a creative freedom thing, not a burnt out from wrestling kind of thing.
But CM Punk's a terrible example here, but it's the closest thing because he literally walked out the night after
Mania. And he was
Mania.
burnt out on wrestling.
He was burnt out, but nobody knew that beforehand. If you remember, it was so shocking.
Oh, man, he was complaining in interviews all the time before that.
Well, yeah, I think maybe to the extent, yeah. Chat room is split.
What, between work and
between work or for real, and that's part of the thing. I think that's what's beautiful about this is I love when they blur the lines, and I think the WWE pushes that more and more.
I don't think this is blurring the lines, or it'd be on TV. If they mention this on TV, then I'm a lot more convinced that it's a work. If they if they shoot an angle where Ambrose is saying I'm leaving or something like that, then I'm way more convinced that it's a work. If he's just going on with this feud with Nia and Tamina, I'm pretty sure he's leaving, and that's
a loser leaves town match.
Because what benefit are they getting out of that? He's feuding with Nia and Tamina on TV, and on the internet, there's this angle going on that he's possibly leaving, serving the 10% that follow wrestling on the internet.
I want weekly segments on the WWE Twitter of him backstage cleaning out his travel bag in his locker, giving stuff to guys like, Seth, this is for you, buddy. I'm not going to need it anymore. Here's a shake weight, a
shake weight. Yeah. Well, if they do something on TV, I'll right now I'm 90% that he's, this is legit. If they did something on TV, then then it goes down to 50.
But here's the other part about this with the WWE commenting. Raj, I'm telling you, this podcast every Monday, this is what we're talking about between now.
Well, that's not good for them. That's not what they want.
What I'm saying. So why would they comment on this?
Because it was already there.
So Andrade was unhappy, and that was the story. WWE didn't comment on that. The Revival supposedly asked for the release.
Not that, but Andrade's contract wasn't coming up soon. He can leave. And Dean Ambrose, I think Dean Ambrose arguably is the biggest star. So this is kind of funny because CM Punk, that whole thing happened 5 years ago, the day after the Royal Rumble, right?
Yeah.
He quit the night after. And I think Ambrose is the biggest star since Punk to be leaving the company or wanting to leave their company on their own accord. So there's a big difference between Ambrose and then, the Revival asking for their release or Andrade not being happy.
Well, depending on the week.
And the timing, his contract being no, anytime Ambrose is a bigger deal.
I disagree, Glenn. I think you get out ahead of this in January. You know what's out there, and if you do Raj's idea, and he does get buried by Nia Jax, Tamina, and whoever else on the way out, or whoever it is, he loses to Kurt Hawkins. It's going to be one of those things that you mention it in passing, but it starts mattering less and less and less, and maybe that's part of the strategy here. WWE is just strange. They've randomly picked to comment on certain things here and there in the last couple of years, things you would never expect, but they'll come out and say something about it. It's bizarre the way they do. Their PR machine is their PR machine, though. So maybe there's not a mastermind plan at all. They just said, listen, this is getting out ahead of us, and we just want to shut it down and move on with our lives.
So here's the question to end this on. If they come out and issue a statement and say, by the way, this is for real and not a part of a story, does that convince you more or less that it's for real or part of the story?
I remember they did that with CM Punk in that art. I wrote an article tonight about the one time that they sent a statement that ended up not being true. And that was with CM Punk in 2011. CM Punk got in some hot water over, he used a homophobic slur, not the F word, one not as bad, but he used it at an Australian live event and got a lot of flack.
Jesus.
Glad got involved, and WWE sent a statement saying, his contract is, he's done with the company after the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. They had been doing that storyline where Punk was challenging Cena. And, the storyline was his contract's up and he's leaving with the title. But
they leveraged that to be a real life kind of, payoff to Glad or whatever
Well, if you check out my article, the actual quote is there. It's the title of the article is yes, it's one of the top ones. The one time WWE said a top star was leaving and they didn't. WWE sent a statement to Glad and it said the departure, CM Punk, they told Glad that CM Punk's contract was expiring soon. He would not be immediately renewed and that he would no longer be with WWE as of July 18, 2011, the day after Money in the Bank. They wrote, this departure is not part of a storyline. He is contractually leaving the organization. Of course, Punk ended up beating Cena and stayed with the company for, almost 3 years after that.
But that was also true in their defense. I mean, if I remember correctly, he did not sign that contract until like the day of Money in the Bank.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was like minutes before he went out.
Yeah.
Well, that's also what he told Bill Simmons. And then later in a different interview, he said that he didn't sign. So Punk was making different statements on when he signed. So after he won the title, he was claiming that he hadn't re-signed. Then in an interview with Bill Simmons, he said he did it, right before. So you got to take all that with a grain of salt too. I do believe he did re-sign around that time.
Yeah.
But WWE did say that they were not going to immediately renew him. And
yeah.
That is the case.
And just to clarify, I wasn't laughing when Raj said that he said a word that was a gay, anti-gay slur that was not as bad as the F word. I was just laughing at the idea like there's this scale of words that are. Is there? I mean, it's all about the intent. I don't know.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, as far as that goes, I thought you meant as far as like words you could say. Yeah,
as far as words you could say. Look, on TV, I mean, look, you can say anything if you say it in the right context. You can probably get away with it.
No, not the C word.
In the UK, you can. In Great Britain,
we're not in the UK. You can never say this. You can say ass and shit after like 10 o'clock, but you don't hear that word.
Yeah. It's all I don't know. I think it's intent. If you're saying a slur, it's a slur. It's a lot of this stuff is pass fail. But yes, I guess there are some words that are like the absolute worst. But there are different
I just
levels.
want to imagine that WWE has like they've got part of their writing team is dedicated to crafting stuff for PR. Like, hey guys, can you work us up a statement about CM Punk? Can you guys just work? We need some storyline stuff here about Dean Ambrose. Can you guys deal with that on the creative side? So part of it's like they have like the big board in the background at WWE HQ where they map out all their storylines and have a little index card and then we'll have a PR statement and they put that up there.
And again, and someone that note like could someone explain to Vince that this word is not as harmless as it used to be? And that's why what was it? A man calls another man a bitch. That's like the worst thing you could say to another man. It's big man language. I don't know. It's crazy. It's weird. I want to take a break and thank the sponsor of this episode, which is Blue Chew. Hey guys, maybe your sex life back in the day, maybe you were like Dean Ambrose in The Shield. You know, you were just a badass. You were just ruthless. You just had so much aggression, so much testosterone. You were just oozing male sexuality. And now you're the guy wearing the fuzzy cowboy hat, cracking jokes, because let's face it, you don't have that animal instinct anymore. Good news is now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence back. Listen up, BlueChew.com. That's blue like the color blue. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. It's the stuff that works. It's the real deal. It's none of this herbal crap. No, this is science, fine-tuned for you and to unleash the animal within. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. And since they are chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready whenever that opportunity arises. You can bring the spontaneity back to your sex life. Have that spur-of-the-moment action. Not have to schedule things. Raj, has your life gotten so predictable and you're so busy yet that your wife and you have to have like a shared calendar where you put time for intimacy? Is it that bad? You're in your 40s.
I mean, when nights we're going out, yes, that does go in there.
Yeah. So I'm saying forget all that. Spur of the moment. Make the magic happen. Pop a Blue Chew. It's go time, baby. Now, this isn't just for guys with dysfunction. If you have dysfunction, Blue Chew absolutely will give you back that peak performance. But if you already have some function, you want that extra function. You've heard me say it before. What do you get from Blue Chew? Super boner. That's right. We've tried it. Raj and I have gone on about it. Matt Morgan, the blueprint, the commissioner of Longwood, has said his wife, everyone agreed. Everyone. Matt Morgan, his wife, everyone. I don't know some of the people he hangs with. There might have been an audience. That's a deep reference right there. Blue Chew's prescribed online and shipped straight to your door in a discreet package, so no in-person doctor visit, no waiting in the pharmacy, and best of all, no more awkwardness. They are made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy, cheaper than your health plan, and we've got a special deal for you. This is free, just $5 shipping and handling. Go to BlueChew.com. Get your first shipment free when you use the special promo code WINC. Again, just $5 shipping and handling. They're going to send you out like 4 or 5 pills. You're going to get go time times 4 or 5 with this free sample here. BlueChew.com, promo code WINC. Blue Chew's the better, cheaper, faster, stronger choice. We thank them for sponsoring the podcast. And yeah, man, great to continue our relationship with Blue Chew into 2019. When you want to get it going on, Blue Chew is where it's at. Promo code WINC to try it for free. Let's talk SmackDown.
You guys got to warn me. This is a deep podcast. We open up about our personal lives and behaviors in ways that I did not imagine before getting behind this microphone. So,
well, now you know.
It's amazing, man. Blue Chew has really changed. I'm really proud of this. So for people that don't know, my day job is I work on podcast advertising. I run an agency. Blue Chew has been one of my clients now since I got them into the podcast game. And one thing I love about this is we made it acceptable to talk about erectile dysfunction, to talk about sexual dysfunction and sexual problems. And if you listen to podcasts and hear the ads, I think part of the reason why it works and why people love it so much is that we're getting real. We're not being, trashy about it or vulgar about it, but we're talking about stuff that guys experience. Because I don't know how old you are, Michael. It's like, Raj, we're in our 40s, man. Like, you start to notice a bit of a dip. Even if things are working, they're not working like they did in your 20s. And I love that we're able to bring that back and help people. It's a good feeling.
Anyhow, I get it. I'm dead. Totally good. I mean, speaking of good feeling, SmackDown. There's your
SmackDown. Oh my God, tonight. Becky Lynch coming out, talking trash about Ronda Rousey, how she's going to challenge her at WrestleMania. Now, Charlotte Flair comes out and you think, oh, this is where it's going to happen. Charlotte's going to dispute it somehow. It's going to end up a triple threat. Well, that didn't happen tonight. But Charlotte came out, talked a lot of trash to Becky. Instead of having some witty comeback, Becky just socked her in the mouth. Stiff punch. Charlotte went down. Becky walked away, and I thought, man, this would be a great way to just end the segment here. But then no, Charlotte attacked her. They kept fighting, and chance have let them fight until we went to commercial. But they're keeping this going. Raj, is Charlotte an interim feud between Mania, or is Charlotte going to get added to this main event match with Ronda Rousey?
According to the Observer, she's being added. I think that's a big mistake. We talked about it last night. I feel like there's some magic between Becky and Ronda. It feels like a huge deal. I felt like that seemed like such a bigger deal than Rollins and Brock last night. And I just think putting Charlotte in, it waters it down. I know some people are saying, well, it'll be a better match. Dude, Ronda had a great match with Nia, they had practice. She'll have one with Becky if they get, and they'll have time to practice it out. So I wouldn't worry about the quality of the match. Now, feeling like selling it, it's a little easier because you can, in the media, you could say Ric Flair's daughter is in this match with Ronda Rousey. to me, I'd rather go with the story. And I feel like that story between Becky and Charlotte is just Becky and Ronda is just much stronger. And I think Becky's, I still think is a mistake that they had her lose to Asuka like that. But I think she's just really hot right now, and you just go with it and don't water it down.
Michael?
I like the surprise attack by Charlotte. I think Charlotte did a really good job of just the pacing of the segment really worked between Becky and Charlotte. Just want to talk about that for half a second, because I like the argument Charlotte made here. And I think it really did seem to want to, it's the opposite of what we had last night. I think the issue I had with Ronda last night is it didn't feel like anything she said stuck to Becky. That was my opinion, right? And I think tonight what Charlotte said had some weight, and it stuck the way she delivered it. I loved the sucker punch, and I wish that had been what Ronda had done to Becky last night instead of her talking. But again, I just think that would have been a fun way. Ronda just gets so pissed and punches. It works perfectly. I agree with Raj, though, that I think it is a mistake to there is so much hype, and there has been for some time, between Becky and Ronda. Adding Charlotte could be a mistake. I think the bigger mistake, though, is it seems like they're going to do this interim feud with her and Charlotte and use that as a way to get Charlotte onto the Mania card. I think, and that could result in Becky even losing next month at the pay-per-view. And that would be a big loss for your super hot redhead.
Yeah, I don't know. Raj, Ronda Rousey feuds and fights. Which ones have you actually been emotionally invested in?
In WWE?
Let's say in general.
Almost all of them. In UFC.
Really?
Yeah, they were all huge deals. Like, it was like an event. When Ronda would fight, and it was one of those things. She had that Tyson thing. It was like everyone knew she was going to win going in, but she was such a superstar that it was a huge deal. And when she finally lost, I remember going golfing the next day, and people were talking about on the course. The group I was with, we had a group of 12. We were divided up in 3 groups. They were all talking about it. I didn't know hardly any of those guys watch MMA, and they don't. But it was just the talk of what everyone was talking about is a huge deal. So all of Ronda's fights in the UFC were huge events, and I feel like they've taken that away from her. And this is the first time I feel like they've got a match there that feels like it could be something big, and that's more on Becky than Ronda. I feel like she's just because she's super hot, and you got a person that people know is a big star in Ronda. So I think you just transfer that over. I think it's a no-brainer.
What about you, Michael? Which of Ronda's feuds have you been invested in? Lifetime?
I mean, I agree with Raj. I think she was something really special in UFC, and I think that's great. Here in WWE, her run has been odd. I think it's been sparkled in with some feuds that really didn't matter last summer that you knew she was going to walk away with and win.
She was going to win all of them.
Well, yeah, but there for a hot minute, they were building up Stephanie McMahon and the feud there, and they kind of backed off of that. I mean, that was, I think, the biggest thing she did was the way she debuted in the company and the way that she interacted with the McMahons, Stephanie and Triple H, coming out the gate at Mania last year. Listen, last year at Mania, she was the talk of the show. There was a lot of things that happened at that show, but if you were there or if you were around, there was a buzz about what she did. The match was weird. It was kind of sloppy. It was kind of, she had rehearsed it, but the pop she got when she did that takedown was one of the loudest pops of the night. And it touched, as somebody who was a skeptic when Ronda came in, I kind of got it. But here's what I will say, Glenn. The feud that she's having with Becky that goes back to last year before Survivor Series, that was probably the best feud that she has had in WWE. And the thing about it is they took it away from us. They promised us this awesome feud.
No, they didn't take it away.
Match. Well, we didn't get it
hurt.
back then.
Yeah,
yeah. But what I'm saying
we
is
were denied.
Exactly. So they did not take it away. We were denied this great moment, and that makes it all the more. I anticipated even more as a result.
Well, I'd say I was definitely invested in Ronda versus Stephanie McMahon, that mixed tag. I was invested in Ronda versus Amanda Nunes. I think everyone wanted to see Ronda come back. More so than that, Ronda versus Turtle and Entourage, where if he lasted a minute, she was going to go on a date with him. Very invested in that, just for chubby guys everywhere. I like to, see when a woman opens her mind that way. But Ronda and Becky, by far, is the one that has my attention the most. And I want it to happen.
Oh, by far. I think by far. I mean, there was a curiosity factor last year with the tag match, but I agree.
Yeah. So I think because with all these other ones, we just know she's going to win.
Look, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Ronda, Becky, you know how with Charlotte, she has this. I feel like it's only with Charlotte. I didn't notice it with Ronda, but when she's doing a promo and after she's done saying a sentence, she does this pouty thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Who are you saying, Ronda does or Becky?
Becky. She does like a, well, you better back off because the man's in town. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
and I feel like she only does it with Charlotte. You go and watch that promo tonight. She keeps doing this pouty thing with Charlotte, and I'll check back with if she does it with Ronda too. But anyways, I couldn't. It was.
It's always like this. It's kind of like, no, I know what you're saying. It's kind of like this. Ooh, I'm like, she really feels herself. I feel like it's that face she does. It's kind of like a duck face, but not like you Instagram duck face. But it's like this. I'm like tough shit. I'm badass, and look at me. I think with Ronda, all she did was smirk. I think Becky knows.
Yeah,
Becky
with
knows,
Ronda, she was just smirking and smiling at what Ronda was saying. Yep. And anyway, I just feel like with Charlotte, she doesn't do that. I don't know if it's a thing with Charlotte or she's done it in the past and I'm just noticing it.
Interesting.
Anyway.
So we'll see. Maybe next week they add Charlotte. I think maybe this will be some stipulation with Elimination Chamber or Fastlane to get Charlotte into that match.
Yeah. They got 2 pay-per-views to go. So
yeah. Okay. So this was a little. You didn't see this coming tonight. United States title match: R-Truth versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Did Shinsuke say he's not renewing his contract? Because that was a weird non-finish that Shinsuke got stripped the title, where it was a 2 count basically, and R-Truth is the new United States champion.
Yeah, that ending looked weird, almost like someone was out of position, or maybe it was meant to be like Nakamura actually kicked out and it's disputed, so they built it a 3-way. Yeah, I mean, it was clear that R-Truth was supposed to win. I mean, it was all time for Rusev to come out and everything, but the ending just looked odd.
And it was senior referee Mike Chioda. He's one of the most elite officials in WWE, and he missed this spot here. Come on, Mike.
Yeah,
Chioda.
right. Like his hand didn't hit 3, right?
He hit. No. Well, so he hit the first. It was 1, 2, 3, but when he came down, he did the first 1. If you rewatch the spot, it was down in 1, 2, 3. But there was daylight in there. I like the 3 count. There was daylight with the way the roll up was happening.
They showed the replay. It looked worse on the replay than it did the first time.
Yeah.
Senior referee Mike
like a botch. I definitely don't think like something unplanned happened. I just felt like the count was botched. He just didn't count right. But anyway.
And then Rusev comes out, challenges right away. And I don't know about you. I was like, oh, well, this is just a way to get the title back on Rusev. But no, R-Truth retained. R-Truth beat Rusev.
Yeah, and it looks like, and then Nakamura and Rusev both beat the hell out of R-Truth afterwards. I don't know. I find R-Truth to be an entertaining character, but I feel like him holding the U.S. title. Last year, Nakamura won the Royal Rumble. Now he's losing to R-Truth. It's just kind of sad. I don't know. R-Truth's an entertaining character, but it just brings the U.S. title down. And
so are we not getting the U.S. title open challenge every week with R-Truth? Is that not what we're getting? Is that what
I'm sure there'll be some fun spin on how they do it.
I do like the fact that they address R-Truth getting screwed out of his spot in the Rumble, and the McMahons gave him something as a kind of a consolation prize. That's cool. I appreciate that little bit of storytelling there. I always like the finer details, but yeah.
I think it makes Nakamura look worse that he won last night just to lose it the next night. It just, I don't know.
I'm only half kidding. Do they think he's on his way out? Because this seems like something you do to a guy who's on his way out.
Maybe, but why have him win the title at all?
Well, what they're doing, it felt like to me, was they're finding an excuse to pair up Rusev and Shinsuke. And it seems like if, we talked earlier on the show, on the weekly today, about them building back up the tag division. If you want more tag teams, you're going to pair up random guys in WWE because that's the only way they know how to build tag teams, even though you have lock, stock, and barrel, a great roster of tag team talent. But no, they want to pair guys up like, the Bar and everybody else they've paired up with the past. And that's what they're going to do here. They're going to build these guys up into a tag team, and they're going to let them be a new tag team to challenge the Bar because that's what we need. So
was Rusev getting booed tonight?
Yeah, he was a heel tonight. I think he turned heel basically tonight.
So they're throwing away the one thing he had going.
Elias and Rusev both kind of turning heel this week.
Yep, seems silly. I mean, Rusev was still over with the crowd. I don't know why.
It was dying quick, though. I can't say ever since Aiden left, it's been a steady decline.
Yeah, who would have thought Aiden going to 205 Live would be like, well, maybe not so bad for him compared to Rusev turning heel.
Yeah, I thought that the whole thing was just, I was just like, especially after 4 days of watching wrestling, it's like, what the freak is going on? And it's like, I'll just watch it and not try to think about it too much.
So backstage, Gallows and Anderson were talking trash to Rusev, challenging him and Nakamura as a tag team to a match. So there we go.
Yeah, at least they're doing something with Gallows and Anderson. Their contracts, I believe, are coming up. So
yeah, I mean, man, I think though it's still them backing up AJ with against Daniel Bryan and his new vegan society would be a pretty good way to go.
The new straight edge. Yeah, no kidding. It's the new straight edge society, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit.
And you were talking smack about Adam Rose, Michael. Just real quick, I'm going to throw a plug here. Stay on the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. He's doing a live Q&A here on the Wrestling Inc. channel right after this show on the Pancakes and Power Slams show with Chris Featherstone.
Wow, Michael, you monster!
I'm not smashing Adam Rose.
I'm going to let Chris know, just in case Chris isn't listening, to send a report on everything you've just said.
That gimmick was trash, y'all, okay? And it's not his fault, but that gimmick was hot garbage when it came to the main roster.
All right.
Just say it.
You're going to answer to him.
Yeah. Well, I'm very glad Adam Rose is doing well. And
yes, absolutely.
So check that out, Joe. Yeah, so if you're not tired, stay on the YouTube channel, check us out, and check out Adam Rose. We have live Q&A, so he'll be answering your questions.
Not my questions, obviously, but everybody else's.
No, you're banned.
So we're supposed to have Rey Mysterio versus Samoa Joe, but got interrupted by Zelina Vega and Andrade, who beat up Rey.
I liked it. Quick, to the point, keeps the feud going. It's not just them wrestling again, just match every week, doing stuff to further the feud along. And Zelina Vega's great.
Andrade looked fantastic here.
Did.
He looked like the main eventer. The suit was crisp. His actions were intense. I was like, put a belt on that dude. United States Championship. He would look great with that around his waist.
Why waste it in a comedy feud?
Yep.
And maybe they could still go that way. We got a lot of time, but Andrade beating R-Truth, anyone beating R-Truth really is not that far fetched. And I don't mean that against R-Truth. It's just he's been a comedy figure for so long.
Well, Zelina and Carmella, that could be a good feud.
Yeah.
Who knows? We got a celebration with The Miz and Shane McMahon. They brought out The Miz's dad. He's proud of him. Yay. They showed another recap package of their road to victory. And then we had an elimination match to crown the new #1 contenders for the tag team championships on SmackDown. The Usos versus The Bar versus the New Day versus Heavy Machinery. Where was sanity in this? Is Heavy Machinery on SmackDown? Seems like it. This was something.
Are they ever going to actually announce where these guys end up, or are they just going to like Heavy Machinery is just now on SmackDown?
Even though they were on Raw 2 weeks ago or whatever.
Right. They said like neither of them are picked up by a brand yet. Well, when are they going to be? I think it's kind of weak storytelling. But yeah, I thought Heavy Machinery. I thought Otis looked good. I hope they get rid of his last name because I can never say it.
Yeah.
Docevic,
I thought.
Docevic,
yeah. I hate everything, not everything, but a lot of things about this Shane McMahon, The Miz pairing to be the tag team champions. I think it devalues those belts, but I gotta tell you, I kind of dug the segment with these two guys. I know they're probably being a little more earnest than I'm giving them credit for. So I kind of liked it in the ironic, like, this is hilarious to see them being so over the top earnest. But when you bring the Miz's dad out and you have him say in front of the live audience in the entire world, "I am proud of you, son." It's the perfect kind of just comedy. Now that's a good comedy segment right there. Not the R-Truth stuff, but this right here, this was good stuff here. I like that. But yeah, makes sense. A tag team match. I'm glad they're going the direction they are with this. With some new contenders in here, should be fun.
It's fun. It's funny with Shane and bringing out Mrs. Dad and everything. I was kind of agreeing with Corey Graves here. Like, Mrs. Dad is kind of a dick. If it's taken this long for him to say he's proud of his son, his son won the WWE Championship and main evented a WrestleMania, and now he's proud. What a prick.
And how he put over, he was like real happy he was pairing up with Shane because that Shane McMahon is something or whatever he said. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
it was it didn't drag. It was entertaining, and it led to the next segment. And Shane and Miz, they got good chemistry.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I mean, so the New Day was out quick, then followed by
So that
Heavy
that led
Machinery.
to the 4-way elimination match.
Yeah, so
And
they
it
were
was-
out, then Heavy Machinery, and then it came down to the Bar versus the Usos, with the Usos winning, and they're going to go on to face the Miz and Shane at Elimination Chamber.
Yep.
I when I see the Usos and the New Day in the Bar, my mind kind of shuts off because I've seen it so many times. These teams just, week in and week out for years and years and years. So having Heavy Machinery in there mixed it up a little bit, but not quite enough. I got to admit, this part of SmackDown was the part where I just really did not care.
Yeah, the match was fine. I mean, it was a match with a purpose. I always value matches that have something on the line, so I'm glad they went that route and they had to earn their spot. They did away with automatic rematches a few months back, and it seems like they're really just doing that to make guys to have a reason to do additional matches to make guys earn the spots they used to get for free. So I get it, but yeah.
I mean, it was a good match, but the Usos versus Shane and the Miz, I don't know. I think it's tough to make that credible with them beating the Usos.
They'll probably get the best match out of them.
Yeah,
It's true.
But yeah, the Usos have just been, I like what they reinvented themselves, but that was like a few years ago. And
yeah, like 2 years at this point.
yeah.
Kind of crazy. After that, we got Daniel Bryan. Well, we got some stuff with Mandy Rose backstage.
Can we talk about that for half a
let's talk
second?
about that.
Yeah.
Like these guys on Raw, like if you're on Raw, you got to fight. I mean, this is a fair point by the announce team as well. The announce team was on point about a few things tonight. If you're on Raw, you got to earn your spot to be in the Elimination Chamber to vie for the women's tag team championship. But on SmackDown, just go out there and declare.
I hate this declaring crap. Why wouldn't everyone do that?
It reminds me of that segment from The Office.
I declare
bankruptcy.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's just poor storytelling to just be able to do that. It's like, come up with something interesting or just announce them. It shouldn't be you can announce yourself. I'll say this about Mandy Rose. She looks like a star, but her promo here, man, it was like, do you ever accidentally not turn off SmackDown quick enough and the beginning of Temptation Island comes on and they have their promos where they're talking like, ooh, my boyfriend, I don't know what he's going to do. That's what Mandy Rose's promo seemed like. It was like that kind of acting. It was rough. She has a long way to go on that.
Yep. So Fire and Desire, is that their official name? Are they going with that?
Sonya Deville, I think, is really good. I feel like
great.
she's got great poise. Her promo ability is great. Mandy Rose obviously has got the look. She needs some work on the promos. I like that they try to put a story in here and try to tie in the backstory with the tough enough. But it's also so far-fetched, and her acting was just so bad that it came across as like a really bad soap opera. It's again, Temptation Island.
I mean, Tough Enough. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say it was them digging back into the Wayback Machine for this clip from Tough Enough is like what they did last night with reminding us that Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins used to be partners on another life 10 years ago. Like WWE just randomly choose it. They forget their history except for these weird one-off times where like, you know what, we should dig in and do something from like way back when,
Yeah, but I mean, wasn't this the least watched season of Tough Enough, this last one? I mean, like, I feel like I really like that season. That's part of what got me back into this wave of watching wrestling. But I don't know. I mean, aside from,
I don't think it was the least watched. It just it was on in a prime spot. It was on like on USA as opposed to like the previous seasons were on MTV.
Yeah.
So you could do lower ratings. Whereas on USA, you couldn't do whatever the 1.3 million that it was doing per week.
well, this was the second season on USA. The first was the one with Steve Austin.
Stone Cold, but that was 5 years earlier. Yeah. And yes, it was lower than the Steve Austin.
and that was a good season too. That Steve Austin season was fantastic.
And it gave us the greatest
Alicia
Fox versus Melina, the best match Cameron had ever seen. Favorite match of all time. And actually watching that match, they had some good matches. I'm just gonna say that. It wasn't far-fetched, but Stone Cold's reaction to that. So that's your favorite match of all time?
I forgot about that. Oh, God.
There's somewhere on the site I talked to Cameron about that. And she's a good sport about it. So you should find her talking about it. It's pretty great.
Yeah. I love Tough Enough. So they're doing a new thing now. It's like Diva Search 2.0. The same producers as Tough Enough, I believe. Bunna Murray, who does The Real World, is doing the search for the next WWE female superstar, is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
the working title. So we'll see. Spirit of
I don't
Tough
like
Enough
that.
comes on.
I don't like it. I don't like that at all. It just seems cheap. It's the diva search back. I don't know. Are we past that?
Well,
Not
but
to
it's going to
mention,
be
where are you going to get these women from? So, I mean, they're all tied up now in contracts, you know, like, are they just pulling them from developmental or?
Yeah, that's what they've done in previous seasons. I mean, you knew that, didn't you? In Tough Enough, like half the people on Tough Enough before were already signed.
No, you had to, they legit did auditions and people flew in and yeah, I mean, you know, the Miz was not in the independents when he came on. He, you know, legitimately had no wrestling background. They did a bunch of people with no wrestling backgrounds on those shows.
But Silent Rage, the guy that won last time, already was in OVW.
The last season was weird though.
Silent Rage, Andy.
Yeah, he was already in 2012.
Yeah, but Cameron was never in. That Miss USA, you know, most of those people were never in. There were a couple that had indie experience. Yeah,
that last season was more like an NXT light. Back in the day, Tough Enough was a reality show where people who did not know how to wrestle, had minimal wrestling experience, came out and tried to become wrestlers. That's what I think. That last season was not very good, and I think it missed the point of what Tough Enough is. You know,
and Mandy, there's been like 3 winners that have really made it. You know, it's like John Morrison. Yeah. John Morrison was a co-winner. Mandy's on the roster so far. Time will tell.
Patrick, Velveteen Dream.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I guess we're talking about contestants. I mean winners.
Oh, winners.
Yeah, because you got the Miz and Matt Morgan.
Yeah,
Maven eliminated Undertaker at the Royal Rumble one year. Okay.
I would not call him a success, though. But.
He went from being a teacher to eliminating The Undertaker.
And then he got destroyed after that.
Oh, man.
Hardcore champion, Matt Maven, mind you.
Why don't they bring back Tough Enough or Breaking Ground? Or
because they don't do the ratings.
Yeah.
The cost to produce those for the ratings it does it's not worth it. Speaking
of cost to produce, did you watch the 4 pilots the WWE put on the network at Christmas? The Fashion Files, the Cooking Show, the Botchamania ripoff. Like they all look like they spent maybe combined $1,000 to shoot all 4 pilots.
And I guess the Botchamania is already done, and that's the one I'd probably would have watched. But it looks like there's no new episodes of that. I don't think the Cooking Show either.
Well, Cooking Show was like people who didn't know how to cook. I would have been afraid to eat any of those dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something. Even the Fashion Police one could have been great, but they made it so cheesy because it was primarily voiceover and just stringing together whatever clips they had to try and tell a story.
Yeah,
very weak. Anyhow, so Daniel Bryan came out tonight and had with him Eric Rowan with the Recycle logo for the O. And
he's been wearing the same shirt 3 days straight.
Yeah, there you go. Hey.
And they just called him Rowan, I think.
Rowan.
Is this a new name change for him? He is now just Rowan?
Well, he was Rowan with the Bludgeon Brothers. Then they called him Eric Rowan at Royal Rumble, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then they went back to Rowan. And even like his music, they went from Wyatt family to this, when he was doing the wine stuff, that he was this genius. So they had that music that they played tonight before they went to the Bludgeon Brothers. Now they're back to this. So kind of going back and forth with Rowan.
So Daniel Bryan gave the cow who died to make the belt a name. The name he gave it was Daisy. There was a Recycle chant going from the crowd, a Daisy chant going from a crowd. Daniel Bryan threw.
Thank you, Daisy, because Daniel Bryan was saying,
"Oh my God,
this cow's name was Daisy that sacrificed her life for this belt." The crowd is chanting, "Thank you, Daisy."
So he threw the belt in the trash, busted out a new belt made out of hemp. And with hand-carved wood from a naturally fallen oak tree. Actually, I thought a beautiful looking belt. If I was going to buy a replica of something, I mean, it'd be just a piece of craftsmanship, Raj.
It was
hand-carved out of wood.
Come
on.
You're going to buy that replica.
More that. Let me tell you this: as a vegan, I am 110% on board with everything Daniel Bryan is doing. What is weirdly telling?
What do jewels have to do with being a vegan?
What's that? Not the jewels.
You could just change the strap. You still have the jewels and the gold.
No, there was
his own.
I was going to say the strap now was like they had pebbles, right? They used pebbles and these weird rocks.
Organically sustainable, right?
It looked good. I thought it was
God, that was the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
No, but think about how much the WWE cheaps out on props and how shitty their prop department is normally.
I did here.
No, dude, you look at the pictures of that. I mean, to have the carve, they had to put together. I mean, they put some time in this. I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Bryan dictated this to the T. They probably spent, easily over $1,000 getting that made.
I have a theory on why they did this too. I get it works in the storyline here with Daniel Bryan, and it's got to be organic, and it's funny and it works and all that jazz. But also, I think it's an excuse for them to reboot the WWE World title and make it blue like SmackDown, since the Raw title is red. I saw the blue dash underneath the Daniel Bryan's new organically sustainable championship, and I think that they could be going that route with the SmackDown title as well. Just my random theory.
I think it's the ugliest title I've ever seen. I don't think Vince will want that belt on TV shows. Like, I think he'll think it's funny for a while. But when I saw that, and I saw
they're going to do a new belt, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. So the new WWE Championship belt will not have the red border, but
right.
So here's what's interesting about this, though, is has any vegan or environmental? I mean, the Sierra Club, Greenpeace, has any environmental organization or vegan organization commented on this? I mean, I feel like GLAAD has commented every time the WWE has done something that has had to do with gay, lesbian, bi, transsexual. And in fact, I mean, they got kind of hoodwinked.
Just like 4 days ago, PETA tweeted, what did they tweet? Here, let me look it up. When Daniel Bryan, so on the January 25th, they said, thanks to WWE Daniel Bryan's compassion for cows, the WWE Championship could literally save a life. The wrestling star will request a leather-free belt if he champions the Royal Rumble this Sunday. So yeah, that was the storyline that he was doing in the media. He was saying he wants a leather WWE Championship belt, and PETA thanked him for it. So yeah.
Let me just say the weird thing is, as a vegan now of 17 years, who has met a lot of vegans, and I'm not nearly, I don't give a shit what other people do, basically. But most vegans I know, they won't throw out something because it's leather. It's kind of like the cow's already dead. You're actually like doing something far more. You're dishonoring that sacrifice far more by just throwing it away rather than getting use out of it when it already was there.
Can I just say the weird thing is that somebody needs to tell AJ Styles you can't just smoke hemp.
You cannot smoke hemp. That was the other thing.
Can somebody tell him that, please? Poor AJ Styles and his Georgia upbringing there.
Yeah. So AJ,
to his defense, it was scripted for him.
Yes. Vince probably believes you could smoke hemp. Although Road Dogg should have pointed out, like, man, I've tried. You can't smoke hemp.
You can eat hemp, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, yeah. There's like hemp milk.
Yeah,
that's a big thing. Hemp protein powder is huge right now.
It reeks. Okay, so the problem I have with it, and you're right, it was scripted, but it does reek a little bit of AJ Styles has kind of pigeonholed himself into this corner where he's representing a certain level of, I will say, conservative values. He's going on conservative talk shows and doing that and all that jazz. But I think that when you come out and you say something like that, it does seem ignorant if you know kind of what's going on here. And it feels like the old fashioned, your parents telling you, well, if you smoke wacky tobacco, then you're going to be crazy and you're going to be hooked on cocaine and meth and everything else. And it just feels very out of touch, I felt like. To be the good guy, it feels very out of touch with where society is this day.
AJ is not coming across as cool in this, but for his demo, I mean, I think he's much more of Middle America's champ of the B brand.
I'm fine with him being Middle America. I don't have an issue with that, but write him reasonably, not like
I agree.
Not,
I just think this whole feud seems very entertaining, but very very upper mid cardish.
Yeah.
Freaking weird.
You look at what Becky and Ronda are doing and the electricity that's out there. Even Brock and Seth, Brock and Finn, it's like this serious real battle for the title. And then AJ and Daniel Bryan with, the cork title belt and arguing over hemp, and it's just silly. It's not bad. It's still entertaining, but it's not like a larger than life feud by any means.
Yeah.
No, it's weird. I mean, I've said this all along. It's very weird because you have Daniel Bryan out there making very good points most of the time. Tonight, the audience having his back with it. He's supposed to be the heel. You got a recycle chant going, for Christ's sakes.
You're not going to headline WrestleMania with this gimmick, with this over the top. It's one thing if that's an aspect of your character, which it was before.
Yeah.
But when that's all you're becoming a gimmick as opposed to having it being part of your character, it's just you rarely see that lead to big main event stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think this helps AJ at all being involved in this. I think this is, I don't know, is this the worst feud AJ's been in?
No, I don't think not even close.
Okay, since Jinder, is this the worst feud AJ's been in?
Well, Jinder wasn't really a feud. They had like one match.
Yeah.
It was over quick.
No, the Shinsuke feud got real bad down there.
Yeah, Shinsuke was bad.
It got real bad.
At least they're debating whether you could smoke hemp or not, rather than just kicking each other in the balls.
Yeah, at least these guys, their segments are entertaining and everything, but it just doesn't feel like a world title feud. When I think of growing up with Hogan and Macho Man, when I think of Shawn and Brett, even more recently Cena and Orton and Cena and Rock, this is just not there.
Yeah, so they basically had AJ come out, then Randy came out, then Mustafa Ali came out, then Samoa Joe, then Jeff Hardy.
This was weak.
All these guys ended up beating each other up, and Daniel Bryan was like, none of them are getting a title shot, and Triple H came on the screen to say that he's defending the title against all of them inside the Elimination Chamber.
I just hate that every time they have a multi-person match, this is how they set it up. Their music hits, they come out. Why wouldn't everyone just come out?
Right.
That's all you need to do to get a world title match to be put in.
That 7th guy's in the locker room right now like, crap, I should have walked out there.
Right. If I would have told a music guy on time to hit my music so I could run out there. I just hate that they just do this build nonstop, constantly. That being said, I thought Samoa Joe was gold on the mic. I thought he was great. Randy Orton giving Mustafa Ali crap for being thrown out by a girl. It seems a little pre-women's revolution thing kind of
thing. Which is totally Randy Orton.
So it fits his
and then he should have been like, hey, shake my hand.
So it was, I thought Samoa Joe had some great lines, but outside of that, I just hate that they keep doing the same build for multi-person matches. And I just felt like SmackDown tonight, it was an entertaining show outside of the hour-long tag match, what it felt like to me, but it didn't feel as big, like big stuff was happening like it did on Raw last night.
Yeah. I think part of that is because it's headlined by a feud that, to your point from earlier, Raj, that feud does not feel big and money like the feuds on Raw do right now. And that's a problem for SmackDown. You're right. These multi-man segments, I get it. You get everybody in front of the audience. They know who's going to be in the match and that cool, do it. But it feels too scripted. It's like all these guys are ready to run out there so they could do this. And if this didn't happen, if those guys had not run out there at the end of the show, would Triple H have still come up on the screen? Like, what was the plan here, for all this to kind of play out? And that's the problem I have with it. So,
yeah. So an okay SmackDown, but this whole run, I mean, I hate to say it, I feel like from TakeOver, the Royal Rumble, from what I caught of Raw last night, and then SmackDown tonight, I feel like good, but just not. I mean, I feel like my expectation was this was going to be a magical run of 4 shows, and I feel like they did a good job. So it didn't meet my expectations, but it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. It was entertaining, but it wasn't a post-Rumble big show. It didn't feel like it. It felt like another entertaining SmackDown.
Yeah. And Elimination Chamber, man, they're going to have to work really hard to build excitement for that. Especially when this looming Mania thing, Becky versus Ronda is the hottest story right now. Probably followed very closely by Dean Ambrose's contract situation as of today. We got 69 days between now and Mania. So
Elimination Chamber is fine. It's not. You got to worry about Fastlane. Fastlane is the one that nobody's going to give a crap about because they should already be pivoting towards April 7th or whatever. So
Fastlane is so pointless.
Yeah,
I don't get it. If these beep shows aren't really adding pay-per-view, aren't adding network subscribers. You see the big, influx of network subscribers with the Royal Rumble and with WrestleMania. So why throw this other pay-per-view in the way when you could just try to build WrestleMania even stronger, the one event that is going to boost your network subscribers as opposed to a pay-per-view that's not? I have a theory behind that. If you remember a couple of years ago, they cut down, it was last year, or maybe it was 2017 when they said they're going to cut back on the number of pay-per-views they're going to do, right? And then they literally added 3 more over the course of 2018 to kind of bring that number back up. Well, they didn't do it to bring the number back up. It was international, Australia and the 2 Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, you're right. But it did end up, unfortunately, side effect, bringing that number back up. But I believe part of this is driven by live attendance numbers. Just my theory here. There's not any kind of science behind this other than the fact that live attendance numbers have been struggling lately. And if you make a Sunday show a pay-per-view, it's a pretty easy switch to flip these days. Yes, added expense in certain, but they have all that stuff ready. They use the same sets. You get those people to come and attend your show.
But it's actually a lot of these pay-per-view tapes. The reason why they did drop it down was because these were becoming money losers, because the amount it cost to produce one of these shows, I can't remember exactly. I know a few years ago it was like 800,000. Actually, this was probably like a decade ago. It was 800,000. So now it's probably over $1 million to produce a single show. So that live, the amount it takes for the live attendance to cover that is just not there with a lot of these. When you're getting like 6,000 people, 7,000 people, 10,000. So
but you'll get pretty good numbers for like an elimination. How many people will attend Elimination Chamber?
Well, Elimination Chamber, the stage is so big that
that's bad. But a normal pay-per-view, how many people attend? I mean, you can get up to
it's like 8 to 10.
You can get up to 12 in some stadiums, right? 12 to 14.
Yeah, well, the price is so much higher. Price is so much higher for the pay-per-views, though. I mean, the house shows,
not the B shows, though. If you look at the ticket prices for a B show, it's about the same as a Raw or SmackDown.
When I went to, Raw and SmackDown still, I'm saying the price difference between Raw and SmackDown is about 50% pricier than a house show. When I went to No Mercy, I remember at the time, because we went to a house show like a month before, it was tickets were twice as much.
Right. But you don't have all the production costs, the giant stage and all that, you don't, the live satellite feeds and all that stuff.
Yeah. I'm just saying as a fan, it's not as worth it. That's why I think people don't go to these pay-per-views. I mean, and I recommend it. I tell every fan.
Well, they don't go to live events. People go to not as many pay-per-views, but they don't go to live events.
Right.
But I'd much rather go to a house show than Raw, SmackDown, or a pay-per-view.
Some of these house shows now on SmackDowns, they look almost like big indie shows, like with the attendance.
It's part of what makes it fun, though.
But if you're a wrestling fan, though, I'm serious. We took my nephew to a house show in Greensboro a couple years ago. I went to one in Raleigh last year. They are the place to go to get great segments, great wrestling from top to bottom. It is a fun, action-packed show. Yes, 90% of the time the good guy goes over. But you go to Raw. Raw is a boring show to attend if you're live. God. It is a boring show to attend.
Yeah, it does kind of, as a fan, I think it kind of sucks seeing the magic, when you're seeing them switching between segments and the wrestlers kind of leaving on cue and that organic feel of it is gone, especially nowadays. It wasn't so much back in the day when I'd go to like Raw and Nitros back in the day. They didn't have those awkward, transitions between matches and segments. Nitro, they'd have the Nitro girls come out as, someone went to the back, but
it wasn't as produced. And the problem is the more you produce something, when you have somebody sitting there watching it, it becomes 10 times more obvious what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think that covers everything, guys. Good couple day run here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's been a long 4 days, but it's been a good 4 days. I feel like this was one of the better 4-day runs of shows that WWE has done. I thought Raw was really, usually like if the pay-per-view is good, Raw is going to suck or vice versa. I thought Royal Rumble was long, but it was still, I overall enjoyed it. And Raw I liked, SmackDown, NXT was great. So yeah, good run.
Cool, guys. Michael, what do you want to plug before we wrap this up here?
Thanks for having me on, guys. I've enjoyed this. You can always follow me on Twitter at @TheRealWiseman. I got some articles going up on the site this week. Got some topics in the works right now, so please check those out. If you want those, follow obviously Wrestling Inc., but I always post those right there on my Twitter page @TheRealWiseman. I do Wink. If you like this podcast, I do Winkly every Tuesday with managing editor Nick Hosman. We have a lot of fun on that as well. And otherwise, we need to start. Let's just do a post show every night of the week now, right? Like Edge and Christian post show. Let's just keep this going.
Yeah.
Friday Night Impact post shows. Come on, let's just keep it going, man.
Women of wrestling and
ABC Saturday Night
MLW.
Movie post show. I mean, we could just do whatever.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And guys that are watching live, remember, Adam Rose, anything you want to ask him, the Q&A is about to start on Pancakes and Power Slams. If you want to ask him what he thinks about No Way Jose stealing his gimmick, how bad his addiction got and how he managed to overcome that to get to where he is today. He's looking fantastic. So definitely stick around. Go back to Wrestling Inc. On YouTube.
Excellent. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. You can find me on Twitter at Glenn Rubenstein, where I live tweet along with WWE programming and other wrestling related tweets throughout the week. And we'll be back here Monday. Myself, Raj, Matt Morgan, talk about Monday Night Raw. Will Dean Ambrose be on TV? Tune in and find out. And we'll see you back here next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.